the dusty plains of Montana, where the sun baked the earth into a golden crust, and the wind whispered secrets through the tall grasses, lived Jack Harlan, a rugged rancher whose life was as vast and empty as the horizon. At 42, Jack had built his empire from nothing, a sprawling ranch with herds of cattle that stretched like shadows at dusk, barns filled with the scent of hay and leather, and a house that echoed with the loneliness of a man who'd lost his first wife to the fever years ago. He wasn't one for sentiment. His days were measured in fence repairs, cattle drives, and the occasional trip to town for supplies. But lately the silence had grown heavier, pressing on him like the weight of an oncoming storm. That's when he placed the ad in the eastern papers. Rancher seeks wife. Must be sturdy, hard-working, and unafraid of frontier life. No frills needed. Responses trickled in like rain after a drought, but none caught his eye until the letter from Eliza Thorne arrived. Her handwriting was bold and unapologetic, much like the woman herself. "Dear Mr. Harlan," it began, "I am not the delicate flower you might envision. I am 28 with hands calloused from kitchen work and a frame that's carried me through hardships without complaint. No one marries a fat girl, sir, but I can cook. I can mend fences, tend gardens, and turn a house into a home that warms the soul as much as the hearth. If that's enough for you, I'll come." Jack read it thrice, chuckling at her frankness. In a world of pretty words and false promises, Eliza's honesty was a breath of fresh air. He wired back immediately, "Come if you're willing." Train fare enclosed. Weeks later, under a sky painted in hues of orange and purple, Eliza stepped off the stagecoach. In the sleepy town of Willow Creek, she was indeed, as she'd described, curves that spoke of strength rather than fragility, her dress simple cotton that hugged her form without apology, and eyes the color of rich earth, sparkling with determination. Jack waited by his wagon, hat in hand, his broad shoulders tense. He was tall, weathered by sun and wind, with a jaw set like granite and eyes that missed nothing. "Miss Thorne?" he asked, voice gruff but kind. She nodded, hoisting her single trunk with ease. "That's me. And you must be Mr. Harlan." As they rode back to the ranch, the wagon creaking over rutted paths, silence hung between them like a veil. Finally, Eliza broke it. "I meant what I said in the letter. I'm no prize in the looks department, but I'll work hard. My ma taught me to bake bread that could make angels weep, and stews that stick to your ribs through the coldest nights." Jack glanced at her, surprised by the vulnerability beneath her bravado. "Looks fade, Miss Thorne. Out here it's grit that matters. And cooking, well, I've been living on beans and jerky for too long." They arrived as night fell, the ranch house glowing faintly from a lantern in the window. Inside it was sparse. A wooden table, a stone fireplace, and walls bare of any woman's touch. Eliza set to work immediately, unpacking her herbs and spices, her movements efficient and sure. By morning the air was filled with the aroma of fresh biscuits and coffee, strong enough to wake the dead. Jack ate in silence at first, then murmured, "This is mighty fine." She smiled, a genuine one that lit her face. "Told you I could cook." Days turned to weeks, and Eliza proved her worth tenfold. She rose before dawn to milk cows, her laughter echoing as she chased chickens, and in the evenings she'd mend his shirts by the fire, sharing stories of her life back east, orphaned young, working and boarding, houses where her size made her invisible to suitors but invaluable in the kitchen. Jack found himself opening up too, telling of his late wife, the dreams they'd shared now buried with her. One evening, as thunder rolled in from the mountains, he watched her knead dough, her arms strong and capable. "Why'd you come all this way?" he asked. She paused, flour dusting her cheeks. "Because no one back home saw past this," she gestured to herself. "But I figured a man like you might need more than a pretty face." He nodded, feeling a stir he hadn't in years. The storm hit hard that night, rain lashing the windows, but inside warmth bloomed. Jack realized then that Eliza wasn't just filling his stomach. She was mending the holes in his heart. Yet doubts lingered, whispers from town folk about the plump bride he'd ordered and his own fears of vulnerability. Little did he know a greater test loomed on the horizon, one that would force him to choose between old prejudices and newfound love. As autumn painted the Montana hills in fiery reds and golds, the ranch buzzed with a new rhythm, one orchestrated by Eliza's unyielding spirit. Jack had grown accustomed to her presence the way her humming filled the mornings as she prepared flapjacks, drizzled with honey from the hives she'd revived, or how she'd stand shoulder to shoulder with him during cattle branding, her apron swapped for sturdy boots and gloves. But the world outside their haven wasn't as kind. Whispers slithered through willow, creaked like snakes in the grass. Harlan's taken a wife? That hefty gal from the east? Must be desperate. Jack heard them at the general store, felt the pitying glances, and it gnawed at him. One crisp afternoon as they rode out to check the fences, he broached it. Folks in town. They talk. Eliza reined in her horse, her face flushing not from exertion but anger. Let them. I've heard worse my whole life. No one marries a fat girl, they'd say behind my back. But you did, or at least you're thinking about it. Jack shifted in his saddle, the leather creaking under him. The ad was for a wife, Eliza. I meant it. She met his gaze, eyes fierce. Then prove it. Marry me proper in front of God and those gossips. He hesitated, memories of his first marriage flashing. Slim, delicate Mary taken too,